Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, first off, I'd like to appreciate everyone for coming today. My name is Jonathan Makamashi Jimbo, but you can call me Joey. Today, I'll be the MC for today's event. That is minus 100 to 1. But without wasting much of your time, I'd like to let you guys know that today we are here for some reasons, and for the reason that you're here, at the end of today, you will get to know more and learn more about this man. The more reason why we're here for Job David Ayuba, he's my boss. Yes, I saved his name as Job David Ayuba, and somebody was like, "Your boss, you're saving his name like that?" I said, "Yes," and I saved it with capital letters because, man, it means a whole lot to me. Okay.
Please a round of applause for him. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's good to see all of us here. And you're looking beautiful, by the way. All right, so for those who don't know me, my name is Job David Ayuba. I'm a social innovator, and I would love to leave it at that for now. When Pastor Kola was talking, first, I've never seen Pastor Kola talk like this before because he's always telling us about his successes, all the money he has made, and all of that. But today he's telling us the story that made him, that shaped his life into who he is right now. And it's very interesting because I've been telling people that the philosophies and the principles that movement from a disadvantaged position to greatness are the same. They are the same. They are not changing. A lot of things in life are the same. The weather will continue to be rainy season and dry season. There will always be sunshine and there will be moonlight. There will always be recession. But it's how you react to that recession that will determine the outcomes of your lives. My parents, our parents, have been complaining about power in Nigeria. For a long time, it hasn't changed. We've been complaining about bad politicians in Nigeria. It hasn't changed. But in the midst of all those complaints, people have become successful because they followed the principles and the philosophies that they needed to follow to become successful. They understood that there will always be problems. Sorry for the Muslims amongst us. Even Jesus said, there will always be the poor amongst you. There will always be the poor amongst you. So you have to make a conscious decision of whether you want to be poor or whether you want to become rich and wealthy. That's your personal decision. So the story a lot of people know is that I grew up on the streets, right? But what took me to the streets? My dad is from Rio, here in Plateau State, and my mom is from Pakistan. But my dad was a preacher, and he was an evangelist, so we used to travel from one place to another. I've been past all parts of the world, and but we suffered in the hands of our father. He could do miracles. He healed people. But in the house, he was a monster. He used to beat everyone in the house, including my mom. Break our bones, chain us for days without food, for 3 days, for 4 days, for 5 days. Sometimes we feed on grains. One day he just told my mom, go to Jos, we will join you next week. And that was it. No divorce, no separation, and that was just the end. Married several women, some didn't even marry. Those that are supposed to be like our house help, ended up having children for him. Just lived a messy life. And we needed our mother. So my two older brothers and I left home in Lagos to go back to Ondo State, where there are people who know where we come from, so they can reconnect us back to our mom. but we couldn't find our mom. We couldn't find any of those places. So we just ended up on the streets of Lagos. I was 8 years. We ended up on the streets of Lagos, doing all sorts of things. Menial jobs, bus conducting, we used to go to parties to find people so that at the end of the party, they would give us some food to eat. We lived all sorts of lives on the streets. But one day something happened. An organization came and picked a boy amongst us. And that boy was even younger than me. He was 7. His name is Udoma. He's now an engineer, one of the top oil companies in Nigeria. And Kelechi was younger than me. But at our age, we were still looking after those who were younger than us. Because kids get lost, kids get stolen, people use them for rituals on the streets. There was a night when we slept under a bus. Early in the morning, the downfall driver jumped into the bus and just started the car and smashed the head of one of the kids. Because the first thing downfall drivers in Lagos do in the morning is they take alcohol. That's the first thing. 4 a.m., they are drunk. And so we had to look out for each other. So when they took this boy, the home was in the boys' remand home. This organization, Child Lifeline. They were running in boys' remand home. And boys' remand home is like a prison. Children are scared of boys' remand home. It's like a juvenile center. So if a child commits a crime or commits murder, instead of taking him to prison, because he's not 18, he goes to a boys' remand home until he gets to 18 and he's sent to prison. Right? So everybody was scared. But because this boy was there, I went out to do some work, came back, and I realized he was in there. They gave me the address, and so I followed the address all the way from Udoma to Oregon in Ikeja. And when I got there, I met the security man. He asked me what I'm looking for. I said, I'm here to look for my friend. He said, do you know where you are? I said, what's the problem? I'm just looking for my friend. So he said, okay. Then he went, looked for him, and brought him. I saw him. I met the housemaster. The housemaster asked me if I would like to stay. And I said, yes. And that was how my life changed. So my life changed because I cared for somebody. I didn't worry about myself. We were all in the problem, we were all in the mess. But I wanted to be sure that boy was safe. And I went into one of the most dangerous places, one of the most feared places by children in Lagos State to look for this person. And that was how my life changed. And that man, that housemaster is Mr. Banjo, who was here, who came for our program all the way from the US. So if we had not met, he probably wouldn't have come to Jos. Right? So that's how I stayed in Child Lifeline. But one thing kept me going. Right from, just like Dr. Kola said, he was withdrawn at some point in time in his life, right? Because of all the problems around him. I was also withdrawn. But as a Christian child, I love Bible stories. And somehow, I read Matthew 5:14. You are the city upon a hill. And that stuck with me right from the age of 6. I can still remember. So while I was on the street, I was not seeing myself as a street boy. I was seeing myself as a city upon a hill. Even the people I talked to wonder why you be on the street, you don't know where your parents are. In fact, we didn't even know where our dad was, even in Lagos, so we were lost. But I always saw myself as a city upon a hill. In the rehabilitation home, I saw myself as a city upon a hill. Remember I said I was in this home at the age of 8. In this home, I grew, I had my education, I became a housemaster even as a boy in the home. I ran the home for the organization. Became a welfare officer in the home and became an executive member in the same home, deciding the salaries of the people who raised me up in the home. And all because of one thing. That picture that stuck in my mind, that I am sitting upon a hill, was what made the difference. And so, what I've thought to do, or what I've thought to share with us today, is the simple philosophy. It's not big, but just the simple philosophy that you can put in your mind. Whether you are walking, I remember he said, even if you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you are walking through the valley of the shadow of death. You are not to stay in the valley of the shadow of death. You are supposed to walk through it. He didn't say you are not going to walk through it. And so Dr. Kola also mentioned something, which is probably a good time for me to just highlight, about how success leads you to more problems. How many mountains do you want to climb in your life? You need to decide. If you're going to climb 5 mountains in your life, you're probably going to be in 5 valleys or 6 valleys. So every time you climb the mountain and you reach that peak and you need to climb the next mountain, you have to come down and walk through the valley of the shadow of death and climb the next mountain. And when you decide you want to move to the next mountain, you have to run down and walk through another valley of the shadow of death. But the mistake that a lot of people make is when they climb one mountain, they stay there. So they don't climb another mountain, and you cannot jump from one mountain to another mountain. You have to still run down through that valley. So, Frizo, please help me. So that's that for my story. There's so much. My story is not even as interesting as my mother's story or my brother's story. Because out of the 5 children that my dad has, my dad is late now. The first child that was on the street with us is also late. Nehemiah, whom I'm following, he's still dealing with his own trauma as a result of the experience that we passed through. Because we all have different types of defense mechanism, right? We all have different types of defense mechanisms, how to cope with problems. Some people drink to cope with problems, some people read as therapy. We all have different ways of coping with problems, right? Then I'm here. Then Esther is also dealing with her own problems. Who is the youngest? David, till today, we don't know where he is. He doesn't know where he's from. If I see him, I don't know him. So from the day we left home, we've not seen him. We only found our younger sister after when our dad died. He was such a horrible man. Even when he was dying, he was still saying that's not his daughter. He was telling the doctors that she's not his daughter, he's just helping her. So you can imagine growing up in that kind of family. I don't like to talk about the things I have achieved. But along the line, I've met great people. I've been in great meetings. I've been in places that nobody is even allowed to take pictures. I cannot even show you, but I know what I'm saying. But from the street, that's just what I want us to understand. From the street, this mental picture helped me to where I am, and it's still helping me to grow. And probably good news for some people who know. Just a few weeks ago, I now consult for the federal government. Officially. So why didn't I let all of this experience or experiences shaped or become an excuse for me to now say, I can become a criminal, or I can do this because my family has failed me, the government has failed me, society has failed me. Therefore, I have excuses to do what I want to do with my life. So these things will not change. Even when we have kids, there will still be problems, but the most important thing is, will they have the philosophies, or will they know the principles that can help them navigate through these valleys or through those valleys? So please, you're going to help me share these cards. I hope we all have a pen. The first one, yes, please. So, there are 3 questions that we must answer in life. 3 questions. And as a Christian, I'll give you an example. The first question you must answer is, who are you? Very important. Who are you? I'm going to make this very simple and fast. You must have an identity. If somebody comes to your door, knocks on your door, come, the first question you ask is, who is there? Isn't it? We all agree? Yes. Right? The person will now introduce themselves. Will you open the door to somebody who doesn't have an identity? No. The first thing you want to know is, what is your identity? And so, to answer that question, you must have your vision. If I ask all of us here, what is vision? A better picture of the future. You know, that's the most popular definition. But vision is not a mental picture of the future. Vision is who you are based on what you have seen. So with vision, there's no becoming. You cannot become. Some of the people who raised me once told me that I never understood. Said, you cannot become. Who are you? You can only be who you are. There is no becoming. Becoming is an endless chase. That's why people live lives of frustration. Because you want to become this. Yes, you become it, but when you are retiring to who you are. And you realize you've wasted all your life trying to become who you are not. So vision is who you are based on what you have seen. So if I see myself as a city upon a hill in 20 years, I remove the disconnect between now and the future. I don't say I am going to become the city upon the hill. I say I am the city upon the hill. So if you see yourself as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in the next 16 years, you don't say I am going to become. You say I am the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The moment you make that statement consistently, everything around you begins to change. You start to think like the president, because you are the president, right? So you should think like the president. You start to talk like the president. You are the president, right? So you start to talk like the president. You dress like the president. You go where presidents go to. You pass through the challenges that presidents need to pass through before they become presidents. Before you are eventually announced the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You have to disconnect the distance between now and 10 years. So does that make any sense? Right? So what I want everybody to do is just think, Don't think about who you want to become. Yes, I know you are studying, you are ready to become a medical doctor. No. Who are you? How do you see yourself? I am the city upon a hill. Are you the bridge? Are you the light of the world? Who are you? And just write it down. And you are free to write as many as possible, because Jesus never said, I am going to become your Savior. He said, I am the light of the world. He said, I am the way, the truth, and life. He has never said, I am going to become. So he knew his identity. He said who he was, but it took people time. It always takes people time to eventually see that identity. It takes people time. Right? So please write it down. I am the light of the world, the bridge, I am the way for others. Whatever comes to your mind, just write it down. And write as many as possible. Can I have the next card, please? No, the other color. Purpose. So let everyone have the next card. The next question we must all answer in life. I know purpose is a very big topic. People are written hundreds or maybe thousands of books about purpose. And I've always been very curious why people still find it difficult finding their purpose in life. You know, and that's what today's workshop is going to help us do. The next question you must answer in life is, why am I here? The reason why it has been difficult for people to find their purpose, regardless of the number of books they've read, is because they did not find their identity. So you cannot find your purpose if you've not found your identity. So remember I said, somebody walks to your door, knocks on your door 3 times. Who are you? It's the plumber. Why are you here? Is the next question. Why are you here? What should a plumber be doing in your house? So a person who walks into your home as a plumber but thinks they're a doctor will not know their purpose in your home. Do you understand it? It's very simple, right? So, purpose is, why am I here? Going back to my example, Mustafa, I know you are a Muslim, but don't worry, you just follow me, right? Jesus said, I am the light of the world. I am the way, the truth, and life, right? Why was he here? He was here to reconnect man back to God. Simple. So his purpose is clear. Very simple. Did he discover that purpose on earth? Or did he discover the purpose in heaven and came to earth with it? That's a question we should ask ourselves. Everybody, before you launch, you must know your identity, you must know your purpose, you must know why you are here. I've asked people several times, why are you here? Why are you here? And people have said, I'm here for this seminar. I don't want to answer that question here now. But what does here mean to you? For some people, here is this room. For some people, here is Plateau State. For some people, here is Nigeria. For some people, here is Africa. For some people, here is the world. Where is your here? You have to identify where your here is, or what your here is. So why are you here? Why are you in Plateau State? Why are you in Nigeria? Why are you in Africa? And why are you in the world? Right? The next card, please. So if you are the light of the world, which is a very sweet thing to say sometimes, but a very difficult thing to be, because the job of the light is for you to shine that light on the path for others to take. So being light is not about yourself, being light is about others. And that was what Jesus did. And that was why every time the disciples tried to abort that mission and turn it into an earthly glorious mission, he said, no, the job is to shine the light for others to see the way from where they are to the Father. Right? So that makes sense. So behind, if you are the light, you will not write the reason why you are the light. I'm here to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, the last card, which is where a lot of people start from, are goals. And goals answer the question of what must I do while I'm here? So you are the light of the world, you are here to shine the light for others, to move from point A to point B. But what must you do while you are here? So again, let's go back to Jesus. What did he do while he was here? He was healing the sick. He was raising the dead. He was teaching. He was preaching. He was leading activities. So a lot of people mistake their activities for their purpose. So your activities are not your purpose. Your activities drives your purpose. Your purpose reflects your vision. So if you're a plumber, we don't want to see you singing, right? Because you're a plumber. So your activities will be an expression of who you are. So what are the things that you must do? So even as the light of the world, yes, you can still go into business and shine the light in business. Regardless of what it is that you do, you can still sing and use that to shine the light for new artists to become greater. So everybody must understand vision, purpose, and goals. So on that card, you must write the things that you need to do to drive your purpose. When you outline those things, something happens to you. You become focused. You will realize that any way is not a way. Or okay, yes, any way can be a way, but any way is not the way. Any way is not the way. Any event is not the event. Any opportunity is not the opportunity. Because why? If you know that your vision is to be light in Bauchi. And the Saturday comes with a limousine and says, hey, Napon, jump in. Let's head to Lagos. You will not. But if a keke comes and say, hey, Napon, hop in. Let's head to Bauchi. What will you do? You go to Bauchi. Because you know your vision, you know your purpose, you know your goals. But the moment you don't know your identity and what you are here to do and what you should be doing, every opportunity becomes an opportunity. Because what the devil does, and which has happened to me several times, I've told you, sir, several times. Every time we are doing a project that God says, do this project, and we're about to do it, somebody calls me and says, I have a job offer for you in Abuja, you don't need an interview, I'm going to pay you $500 million. Opportunity. But because you don't know your purpose, you jump on that opportunity and lose the reward that comes with your vision and your purpose. So everyone needs to have clarity. And Dr. Kola has said it. So how do you know your vision? You ask. The principles are very simple. I just realized that humans are just designed for complex things. If it's simple, we don't do it. It's very simple. Ask, it shall be given unto you. Seek, you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened unto you. Right from when I was a kid, I've always asked God for one thing: wisdom. People say, are you wise? Yes, I am wise. Are you wise? Yes, I am wise. Why are you wise? Because God gave me wisdom. People ask me, you talk as if you know all things. Yes, I know all things. Not from my perspective. From my perspective, I can see one thing. But from God's perspective, I can see all things. So why can't I use his lens and see all things? It's just a matter of asking. So ask, just like he asked. I asked. Even when I was lost, I asked, what should I do? And I got a clear picture of what exactly I should do. This is who you are. People are going to say it to you. You are going to read it in books. You will see yourself in books. You will see yourself in movies. But it depends on what you are looking at. It's this. So, vision, purpose, goals. I think it's probably best to stop here. And if anyone has a question, you can just ask a question. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me to speak.
Do we have questions? Do we have questions? Yes, anybody? Question time. So you don't have any personal. Somebody should ask him when he's getting married now. At least. Ask him when I get married. At least. Right? Soon. Yeah. Very, very. I wish we could still ask him some questions. I'm still dragging that question part because we skipped that part for this. Do you want to ask him any question? Okay. All right.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Okay, question.
Now, what's the driving force behind what you do? I know there's purpose, there's goals. We talked about that. You used the illustration of the limousine and the KK going to Bauchi and Lagos. Was it birthed out of the pain you went through, or it was a different moment in your life?
So, partly, I think you've answered that to some extent. Because at some point I said, being liked is not about you. Being liked is about others. Because the point is not to shine the light on yourself, right? How can light shine light on yourself? Light shines light on darkness so people in the dark can see. In the organization, I was part of 2 surveys. for street children in Lagos. The first one was in 2005 and it was sponsored by Ford Foundation. And in that survey, we were able to collect data on how many children were on the streets in Lagos and how to find solutions and all of that. And then when Lekki Concession Company, the company that built the toll gate, the Lekki toll gate, we're going to start that project. They also involved us, so I was also a research assistant for that survey for street children, which happened in 2009. And what I realized was that philanthropy became ineffective, right? So because I'm a street child and people who hand me notes, people are beginning to send their children, parents are send their children to the streets. Yes, then they go back home on the weekends, give the parents money and so on. And the crisis of 2001 led a lot of boys from Jos to come to Lagos. And I was able to meet some of those boys, even in home, when I was in home. And so one of the first things that came to my mind was people from my state should not be on the streets in Lagos. There should be an intervention in my state to make sure that before a child ends up in another state as a street child, something was done or something could be done. But when you trace the roots of problems in Nigeria, it still goes back to economic problem. And why are people not economically empowered? It's because of the mindset. And that's why we talked about this event as cultivating your mind, because before you put a seed in the soil, you have to cultivate that soil. No matter how good that seed is, if you put it in a bad soil, it's a basic principle, basic philosophy. If you put it in a bad soil, it will not grow. So you have to cultivate it, sir, am I correct? Yeah. For aeration and to promote growth, right? It is after that cultivation that you plant. Then you now nurture. But what we have been doing, leaders like you, which is not our fault, the people that we speak to, their minds have not been cultivated. So you can give a motivational speech of 10 hours, and the person is saying motivational speakers are useless. Motivational speakers are liars. They have a story of, I moved from 1 naira to 1 billion, because that mind has not been cultivated. And again, it's in the Bible, the parable of the seed, right? The one that fell on good ground, thorny ground, and on the rock. The only one that grew was the one that fell on good ground. So if the mind is still a rock or it's still thorny with the issues of life, with the bitterness of life, then it's not going to grow. So all of the things that we've done sometimes is also based on instructions. I don't like to say something, I don't tell people, Mrs. Mommy Wiggins always say, what you are doing is also the work of God. I say you can't tell that to people. But we have to do it the way he asked us to do it. So every conference, everything, we pray about it. Right? So everything is given. But the instruction was, come to Jos. And my drive is that the experience I go through, others should not go through it. But if they must go through it, they should be able to navigate. So I've spent most of my life just writing, documenting. What happened? How did I react? When I reacted this way, what happened? When I reacted the other way, what happened? And I have no bitterness whatsoever towards my father. In fact, we were in a session the other day, and I was sharing with them that if I was given another opportunity, that if you're going to lose all your family to become this, will you take it? Yes. Because that's the vision, that's what God wants. And that's why Jesus himself had to sacrifice his family and everything to achieve that purpose, that reason why he's there. So it's not about us, it's about others. And it's probably time for us to start thinking that way. But let me just quickly chip in something that holds people back again. When you see great people, you mirror them. Regardless of where you are, when you see great people, don't feel small. I want you to be living in Gentile. I want you to be living in Tulu with that awful shape. But see yourself as someone who is living in the palace. Because there's also a philosophy that says, though you are in the world, you are not of the world. And that philosophy has helped me. So while I was amongst other children, smoking, drinking, doing all sorts of things, some of them have gone back to the street. I told myself, though I am in the world, I am not of the world. Why? Because of my identity. When I'm walking, though I am in the world, I am not of the world. I am the city of God. I have slept in the rain because there was nowhere else to sleep. Everywhere you went to, the big boys, they call them binago in Yoruba. The big boys are beating you and sending you out. Slept under a polythene bag in the rain all through the night. We've lived all kinds of lives, but every time, the only thing that kept me going was, you are not of the world. This is not where you belong. You are only passing through. And looking back now and connecting that dot, I wish I had gone through so much pain than I had gone through. Because in the end, I would have been better refined. So don't wish for pain to go away. Wish for it to come and wish for the power to withstand it. Because that's what's going to make you. You don't have a story here. I said it. If you don't have a story, you don't have anything. And the only time you can have a story is when you move out of your comfort zone. You can create your own story. You can decide today and say you want to become the governor of Plateau State when you are just a student. But that is going to lead you to bigger problems, bigger challenges, and those challenges will shape you and give you a story. I don't know if I've answered your question, sir.
I have one more question. Nice. A question from the answer you gave. You talked about the issue of the mindsets.
Yes.
Now, so in your work as a social innovator, what do you think maybe 1, 2, 3 things that can help to prepare that hard ground, for the seeds that are coming? What's the issue? Why the mindsets of the people are not ready to receive the good seed? So how do you cultivate the ground?
Okay. So let me just say this. Sorry, I have to think. Sometimes I just have to think. So, your capacity to learn is a gift. Everybody has the capacity to learn. It's a gift. But your decision to learn is a choice. So probably somebody is sitting down and saying, I've read 1 million books, it didn't work, this and that. Your decision until you reach the moment. And that's why we said minus 100 to 1, not to 100. And yes, are you wise? I'm wise. And what's wisdom? Wisdom is staying at 1 for me. If I make 10 billion, I will still say I'm at 1. So I continue to strive. I'll make 100 billion and I'll say I'm at 1. I will never say I've reached 100 because I'm wise. So you should be wise. Right?
So it goes back to the point you said, I saw you put a quote. Stay hungry and stay foolish.
Stay hungry and stay foolish. When you're hungry, what do you do? When you are full, what do? You sleep. So the moment, and what brought this issue of staying hungry? Thank you very much, sir. The first survey we did, I was with a man called Mr. Abolade. He's late now. He's an old principal, one of these old men that used to wear shoes that are 3 times the size of their legs. He used to walk like this, and I came to him. I had walked, we were many, but I had walked, and I was very hungry. And I came to him and I said, sir, I'm hungry. And he said, okay, Joe, what are you hungry for? And I always think, just the way you asked me a question, and I had to think. And so I took a step back, and I think, what am I hungry for? And when I don't know the answer, I will not talk. So the wise man will give me the answer. When you don't know the answer, don't talk. Stay lost. So he said, okay, Job, you can be hungry for many things. You can be hungry for money. You can be hungry for food. You can be hungry for sex. You can be hungry for fun. You can be hungry for knowledge. So what are you hungry for? Guess what I said? Somebody should just guess. I said knowledge. But I was hungry for food. But by the time he gave me those lists, I now realized I could be hungry for a lot of things, and knowledge was one of those things. And so I chose knowledge. And from that day, I decided to consume knowledge, first for therapy, and then for wisdom, and read all the books I could read. But I just want to quickly, let me just use this opportunity and show us something. So, Mommy Wikin said, half full. Anybody else? Half empty. Okay. Rex, please come. Mommy Wiggins, please come. I don't know why they brought water for me, but it just came to my mind. Okay. So, I'm going to do something. You pick up the cup and tell us whether it is half full or half empty. Then, if you want to go, you can go and take your seat.
Half full.
It's half full, right? Okay. Rex. It's half empty, right? Anybody else? Okay, so there's a group of us. So she's an optimist, right? He's a pessimist, right? He's seeing empty. Okay, so he said he's not a pessimist. Sir? You can look at it both ways. Okay, how are you going to look at it, sir?
How much grace has to be revealed by the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
When I become completely full, it overflows. When it becomes half empty, I have to ask again.
Please, let's clap for Mr. Wiggins.
Once the glass is completely empty, then I pour out my life.
Please, a round of applause. So let me show you how this thought mind works. And that's how our mind should work. This is actually empty for me. It's not food for him. So, this is what makes you an optimist. It is not stating that it was half full that made you an optimist. It is doing something about it that makes you an optimist. So if you don't do anything about it, you are also a pessimist. Now, you can go ahead and move from another point. What is this? Empty. It's empty because it is not overflowing. Only those who are empty can be filled. If you are not empty, you can never be filled. If you are not empty, you can never be filled. You can still move ahead and still refer to this as empty. Because the people who are around you are empty and they are going to be filled. So it's your mind. It's how you think. It's how we think about it. It's the conversations that we have. Please, two of you come. It's the conversations that we have. The moment you understand these principles and these philosophies, the outcomes of our lives will become different. As a street boy, favor, please come this way. Which is another thing everybody is doing all the time, right? I can be talking about the problem, or I can be talking about the solution, the good things, the bad things. What do you do when you go out in the morning? You pray, you say, God, take away accidents, take away sickness, take away this, take away that. If the two of them are behind in that room, and we say, if you hear your name, in fact, two of you go back. Sorry, you are not sickness or anything, but let's assume you are sickness. Joey, You are wealth, you are all the good things, you are good health. Okay, God, take away sickness. If I mention your name, take one step forward. God, take away sickness. Take away sickness. Anything that has to do with headache, stomachache, take it away. Anything that has to do with pain, take it away. I don't want any accident in my life. I don't want any sadness in my life. I don't want any bad thing in this world. What is coming to you?
It will become.
It's our philosophy. You have not talked about the wealth, the good things that you want. What you are looking at are the things that you do not want. Forget about the things that you do not want and go after the things that you want. And talk about the things that you want. We came to this city, we didn't talk about the things that we don't want. We just try to get people and get them to see the things that we want. That's all we did. We would have sat down and had meetings and said, let's talk about the lack of power. No. But let's talk about, let's bring somebody like Mr. Mendes to tell us how can we get power? What has worked? So it is our philosophy. It is our mind. You can't eat your cake and have it. It is your mind. You can eat your cake and you can have it. It is your mind. You can't eat your cake and have it. You can eat your cake and have it. I can eat the purpose, put it in the ground, it will go and have more. It is your mind. It depends on how you think. I don't know if I've answered the question. I think I've said too much. Unless you have any other question. Any question? Okay, Mr. Best.
Yes. We're recording, so we need your input. So.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, let me honestly deeply appreciate what I'm just listening to. I'm so sorry I came late, but I'll do like a follow-up question from what the first speaker had asked. Obviously, your experience is quite deep, and we have a lot of young people here. I'm sure I've talked on so many issues, but maybe this might probably be like a recap for you or like a summary. I just want to, using your own story, using your own story to answer this question. Probably, like I said, you mentioned something that we missed out. What kept you? I understand sometimes when we say, okay, God kept us, or we say, okay, maybe our persistence and the rest of them. So it might sound vague to a lot of audience. So I want us to go back to your story. At what point did you realize, because obviously you have to realize that, look, there's a better future out there, there's something good for me out there. What was the turning point? It could probably be an event, it could be a day, I don't know if you could remember maybe, but from your story. Because I know every time we keep seeing things that keep us going, that obviously because we know, before, when you hear the cock crow, you know that the day is about to break. When you see the down, and sometimes before the down comes, we hear that it's the darkest. But there's a sign from the horizon. You can see some rays. Because some of us might be going, and the reason I'm asking this question is, it doesn't matter how you appear. Emotionally, a lot of people are broken. Psychologically, sometimes people keep declaring and saying those things like you said, but somehow they don't actually believe. They're not convinced. So at what point in your story that there was, that looking back now, because again, remember you said your story either is to stop others from going through that same route, or if they go, they can navigate their ways. So there's a lot of people that also try to navigate. So at what point will I stop stressing myself and know that, hey. Or is it going to be walk all through till I come out of the mud? Maybe from your story, please.
Yes, it's going to be walk all through till you come out of the mud. And one of the challenges is being able to identify progress. when you make progress. There is a saying that there's light at the end of the tunnel. But there's also light at the beginning of the tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but there's light at the beginning of the tunnel. If this is the tunnel, and you are moving from here, there's light. But you want to make progress, that's why you are moving to this end of the tunnel, right? You can be here. You've made progress, but it's still dark. It doesn't mean you haven't made progress. You can be here, 50%, and it's still dark. You've made so much progress. The most important thing is knowing where you're starting from. And that's for you. It's personal. We are lost in this world of we. Jesus said, I. It's personal. It's you. It's your vision. He's giving it to you. He said, go and do this. Be the light, be the bridge. I am the bridge. It is when an aggregate of eyes come together and we become we. When you cannot represent somebody else, when it comes to fulfilling purpose in life, you can only represent yourself. So there's progress being made. A lot of people don't know that progress has been made. So you might actually be starting from -100. I knew when I was at -100, and I knew when I was at -50. And people told me, give up. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? I said, no. I know what I'm doing. I've made so much progress. Now I'm at -10. You are probably starting from 0. I probably started from -10. But I'm starting from -100. I need to know that first. I need to know that first. Sometimes we don't appreciate who we are or what we have because of who we compare or what we compare ourselves with. The moment I compare myself with Dr. Kola or with Pastor Dave, they are multi-millionaires, so I'm not rich, I'm poor. Right? But if I compare myself with the other guy who has nothing, then I'm rich. But I also said something. When you see greatness, or when you see great people, mirror them. Greatness loves to be mirrored. And that's why God created us in His image. He could have created us in another image, but because His greatness, and He decided to create us in that image of greatness. So, for me, I was on the street, an 8-year-old, and I was worried. In the night, I just want to go back home. I will tell you one of the things I have loved and appreciated in my life till today is a pillow. You have it, but you don't know what it's for. The first night I slept, with my head on the pillow, I didn't want to take my head off that pillow because I've never found that kind of comfort in my life. Just a pillow. Every night it rains, I still think. Every night till today, it rains, I still think about the kids that are on the street. Every night. Because at that moment, everybody wants to go home. Even if the man is a demon, you just want to pass the night. When it's morning, go back to the street. Because no one's going to come out. Somebody can pick you up, use you for rituals, do all sorts of things, molest you. But the moment that boy, Kelechi, came to the street, whose mom ran mad, lost his dad, his aunt brought him all the way from Owerri to Lagos and started maltreating him, and he left home for the street, and we met him in the street. He was 7. And then I realized, there's a 7-year-old. So you guys now have to be big brothers. So at 8, we were big brothers to somebody that was 7. So at that moment, things changed. Mental shift. That it's not about you. there are others who are even more disadvantaged than you. So it's still about our philosophies, it's still about our principles. Nothing is going to change. The recession won't change, bad government won't change. Even in America, there's still bad government, there are shootings every day, but people are still in the midst of all of that, making progress. It is your mindset, it is our mindset. Answer your question, sir.
Just overwhelmed by story.
Quickly. Purpose. You have to lead yourself. And you have to lead others. If you need more lessons on leadership, Pastor Demi, Mom Wiggins, Danny Wiggins, they are all here. When it comes to leadership, there are two. You could be leading people, the vision will be service to the people, or the vision could be to a particular place. Your job is to move those people from one place to another. Go back and look at all the leaders in the scriptures. Moses, all of them, they had problems. Why? Because they removed their focus from service to the vision to service to the people. The promised land was the vision. His responsibility was to move them from point A to point B, which is what leadership is. Leadership is just about leading people from point A to point B. Simple. Forget about all the 1 million definitions. Moving, influencing, whatever, from point A to point B, that's leadership. It's an action word. The moment you remove your focus from service to the vision to service to the people, there's problem. If you remove your focus from service to the people to service to the vision, there's problem. That's why identity is key. And you must know what the vision is and not deviate from it. The people will complain, just like the Israelites did. They complained, and that generation had to die for that journey to be completed. It's the same thing that happens. It's the same thing that is repeating itself. People are complaining, and because of the complaints, we are not getting to the destination. And the leaders are servicing the people. So, when you start leading your vision, you need to be very clear exactly on what it is. I can give you so many examples. Every time we have a conference, every time we say this is the theme of the conference, the first reaction we get is, we don't like it. What is it? No, let's use more. And after a month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, everybody loves it and everybody is representing. I am sitting upon the hill. Out of many, I am one. It takes time for followers to get it. Yes. I'm assuming we are all leaders now. It takes time. They don't get it. You get it. That's why God is asking you to take them there. Wow. They don't get it. So followers cannot lead the way. The job of the leader is to lead the way and for the followers to follow. But every leader also has to be a follower, and every leader has to follow a vision. So if you are following somebody and is not following anything, all of you are followers and you are lost. Wow. Your leader has to follow something and not you. Your leader is not following, your leader is following a vision, and you are following your leader because that leader is following a vision and you want to get to that vision with him or her. The leaders cannot ask the followers, what's the vision? And the followers are not supposed to get the vision.
No more questions. questions. Thank you very much. Please clap for yourselves. Can we be doing this every year? Why did you do it on your birthday? It made a lot of sense. But I wish you can be. Are we expecting 2.0? That's my question to you. God's leading. I don't know if you have anything to say before we leave.
Also, yes, good photograph. But there's something we are doing with book throwbacks, tall book and book throwbacks, called Pages Alive. We started that like a year ago, and we thought to read to solve our problems, right? Not read for further entertainment, our economic problems and then mindset problems. So we came together and started a project called Pages Alive. So every month we read the book, and then at the end of the month we review the book and adapt the lessons from that book in our lives. So this month we read The Richest Man in Babylon. Very interesting book. And so we are going to review the book immediately after this program. So anybody who is willing to stay and be part of that is usually the best thing that happens in JOS that nobody knows. We don't announce it, but it's usually the best thing that happens in JOS. It's better than this event. And for this month, Mr. Emmanuel Okorafo, which is the money man, but he's sitting behind, he's going to be reviewing the book with us, he's going to cryptocurrencies, and it's one of the biggest in Nigeria. It's sharing with us. A lot of people don't know. It's so much you can be asking for money. Don't know as far as knows. Okay, so after that, we're going to be doing that book, and if you're going to do a good job. But thank you for coming. Remember, this is not about you, it's about you. Owning your story, telling your story. We all share our philosophies and the principles that have helped us to navigate, right? From -100 to 1. So you should also adapt those principles and philosophies. And if you need any question or you need any guidance, you can reach out to any one of us, right? So thank you for coming, and God bless you. And have a good weekend. So just do a quick photograph. Daniel, let me know what's to do. Outside downstairs. Okay. All right.